So next one from the pile of shame is this thing. It's a vehicle that I've stripped. I've lost the bottom bit from it. I've lost the wheels, so it's just plastic interior and the metal body. So let's crack on. So let's use these bits and pieces, and there you go. That's a nice quick and easy way of doing it, isn't it? I've also stuck some plastic card in here on the interior bit, so that hopefully when these clip together, there you go, there's an armoured compartment for the crew. So yeah, I think that's all the bits done that I need them separated for, so I'll get them glued together. So I've done a little bit of a thing here. I've added on the back, as you can see, I've added this kind of box arrangement. Base of the box is, I cut the spoiler off of one of these because I've got an idea for this project. I won't need the spoiler, so yeah, it's always good to reuse and recycle, isn't it? So the reason for that will come apparent towards the end. I'm not going to reveal right now what that is for. So as you can see, I've got these two things here, which are from a charity shop toy car. They're quite nice. I'm going to be using those as the suspension to turn this thing into a monster truck. So I'll get those glued into the wheel arches and see what that looks like. Okay, some more progress. I've stuck the suspension type stuff in the front and back, and I've also stuck this sort of spiked ram thing on the front just to cover up the gap in the front, so that there's something to look at rather than a slightly weird looking gap. And I've stuck these fins on the top as well. Here it is, undercoated, which means I think I've finished the building. I'm not sticking anything else on that. Undercoated in brown, which I prefer to do for two reasons. Firstly, if anything ends up showing gaps or whatever, it just looks like a rusty gap. And secondly, I want a brown undercoat here because I might have a play with a technique a bit later on. So let's get it painted. So what I've started to do, you can see here some sort of rust chipping scrapes. So what I've used is I picked this up in a cheap shop, probably Poundland, but it's a nail thing with different grades for different phases of doing the nails. So I've used this kind of quite fine part, and I'm just rubbing it very gently on the paint, and this shows why the brown undercoat is potentially useful. Because it's very gently rubbing off the top surface without breaking through. See? And it will naturally catch the edges, which are the bits that are going to catch the most wear and tear anyway. And it gives quite a nice subtle effect. Subtle, probably the wrong word, but it gives a nice natural looking effect. So I've already done some on the side here. So it's just a little bit, not over the top, not as extreme as the last one that I did. So I'm going to carry on doing this and then see what sort of effects I can get. So what I've done now, I've just cut a little bit off of that pad, just a little bit here, and let's see if I can do something a bit more useful with it. So I've stuck it onto the end of a brush. See if I can get into, yeah, it's a lot easier to get into places where you want to get into. So I'm going to concentrate on areas that I think there would be wear and tear going on. I guess it's the same as using sort of modelers sanding sponges. It's just I don't like spending money, so these were cheap. I've broken that. I'll have to fix that. That's fine. Whatever. So I'm quite happy with that, actually. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Hurrah! Hurrah! Well done, me. Okay, so I've scuffed off the rust patches. I've also touched in the metal, first coat of the metal. So I guess the next stage is my favourite bit, or one of my favourite bits. Let's go in with the Army Painter Rust Tone. I'll do this all over. Not actually diluted it so much this time. It's just Rust Tone and the Quick Shade Medium. The reason I've done this is because there's less actual sort of rust patches than on previous builds. I want there to be more of a rusty feel to it without it, you know, just in the colour as opposed to actually adding rust. I know what I mean. So I think I'm more or less there now. I've stuck the back wheels back in again, or the back suspension in again. The rust has dried. I've gone back in and I've added some streaks and stuff just to make the thing look a little bit more Wastelands without it being over the top. Yeah, I think the next stage is going to be stick the wheels on, and then I will do what I was planning to do for this thing in the back here. But so far, I think, so good. So starting on the wheels now, I have stuck these massive spike things on there and just painted them basically black and silver. And now another wash, oil stains. I'm going to use it neat. I'm not even going to use the wash medium. I'm just going to slap it on there. So get a nice big heavy coat of this stuff all over them. The paint and washes are now dry on these wheels. So what I'm going to do now is, with a very thinned down wash of the fresh rust effect paint, I'm just going to wash this all over. So I'll just leave that to dry, and hopefully that will dry looking, making just the wheels look just a bit rusty, that's all. The rust wash is now dried. I like it. I think it looks rusty, which is the idea, really. So yeah, I think next stage is get the wheels on. So we're ready for the finishing touches now. We're in the last home straight, really. I have fastened some straight wire into the holes where the axles will go, and I will probably fasten the wheels to these using the super glue and bicarbonate of soda trick. So I'll probably put bicarb in the holes, super glue on the end of the axles, shove them in, and hopefully that will hold. But let's crack on and see what happens. The next thing I'm going to do is, I've got these things here. They're little jerry cans from the North Star Military Figures Implements of Carnage 2 sprue. And they're cute little things, and I've got a use for them on this build. So I'm just going to paint them in a bit with some red. Not overly worried about coverage because they've been primed in brown. So if anything's showing through, it's just going to show up like rust anyway. And these are going to be hopefully rusted and battered about a bit anyhow by the time I finish with them. There they are, those two little Implements of Carnage jerry cans. Tried to make them look a little bit rusty and battered, but they're tiny, so we're not even going to notice really. Painted them red, and I painted two ends on them, one on each. I want them to look like the hand painted slapdash anyway, so I'm not too worried about how precise they look. The idea is they will be ready to be thrown off the back of this wagon as a napalm dropper. Here she is, finished. One final little finishing touch. You might recognise these guys from one of the earlier videos I did when I was testing out Army Paint and Speed Paints. So that's a big open hole in the back of that truck, isn't it? So I reckon a couple of crewmen, there you go. They're there to defend the vehicle and chuck the napalm off the back. So we're all done. I think let's get it on the turntable and have a closer look. I thought it might be useful to show the bits and pieces that I've used in this build, so I've tagged the glamour shots here with what I've used, just in case you find it useful. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. As ever, I'm going to beg you for likes and subscriptions because it does make us happy and it makes a difference to a small channel like us. But till next time, thanks very much and bye for now.